Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be reacting to a video from Dark Hero 2, 10 things the game doesn't tell you that every player should know in Wild Hearts. We're going to see if there's any ones here that I don't know. And if there are, I'll definitely say I don't know them, but to, I'm curious if I'll see any, if there's anything he doesn't bring up here that I've noticed. So let's get right into it.
Is a very complex game with many things to tweak around and optimize. And even
Yes.
as a Monster Hunter veteran, there are many things about this game that I thought worked differently, and I just didn't know about this until I was over
Uh-huh.
50 hours into this game. As such, in today's video, I'm going to be going over a lot of these things that I wish I knew when I
Huh.
started the game, and that have made my experience with Wild Hearts a whole lot better. Now let's start with something that I bet not a lot of people know about.
I
Your
think that's the
healing
second
water
combo.
is of course
It has
the way you
three.
use to heal yourself in Wild Hearts. That being said, I see a lot of people sheathing their weapon before they actually drink the water. This is very likely a reflex from playing Monster Hunter, which admittedly I also did a lot at the start. You don't actually need to sheath your weapon, as by simply drinking the water is going to automatically sheath the weapon for you.
Yeah, I knew that.
That being said, the biggest thing about the healing water is that you can drink multiple doses of it at a time. So instead
Yes.
of drinking the water once, waiting for the animation to end and then drinking again, you can actually double tap or even triple tap the button on your D-pad, and you're going to take 2 or 3 sips of the healing water at once, and that is going to cut off just a little bit of time, but that can be the difference between life and death.
That is 100% true. The only issue with that is one thing to bring up about that is that if you don't want to get to full health and you are doing the multi tap, if you accident you can accidentally hit it one more times than you want, and it will cause you to heal and waste the extra healing. And if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was just a bug, but I was able to heal myself while I was at full HP for a little bit when the game first dropped. I don't think that's a thing anymore. I think it was just a bug, but you could at one point do that and waste all of your healing water. So be careful of that in case that ever pops back up again.
After all, if you're healing, you are probably in not a very good shape. I never see people do this, so I assume that it isn't a very well known thing. Now, another thing that is also very helpful and practical, but it also seems to be not very well known, is that you can actually animation cancel your moves with your Karakuri. Say you just finished a
Yes.
big swing, like the big
Yes, you
finisher
can.
of the Karakuri staff. A Kemono is about to attack you and you want to get out of the way very quickly. Instead of waiting for the animation to finish and spamming the
hmm
dodge button, you can simply just build a box, for example.
Not only can you do this as an animation cancel at the end of an animation, with some weapons at least, I can't say this is with every weapon, but some weapons you can actually build a category in the middle of the swing as well, completely canceling the animation before your attack even goes through as an emergency.
And that is going to sheath your weapon and cancel the end-like portion of the animation. So you're able to just sprint out of the way much quicker. You're also able to cancel in the middle of your heavy swings with some of these slower weapons. So if you're charging up your weapon and you see that the Kemono is going to attack you, you can very
Exactly
quickly
what I was
build a
saying.
spring and get out of the way very easily. Even some of the faster weapons like the katana or missing a parry with the bladed wakasa are going to leave you open for a very long time, so knowing about these tricks can also save you from danger very often. So keep this in mind when you're playing Wild Hearts, as it is actually going to be very useful once you
Yep.
start hunting mighty and even volatile Kemono. Now, something very important that happened to me, some of my friends, and I bet also happened to some of you, is that you're not actually unlocking every single Fusion Karakuri you should be unlocking. What I mean by this is when you go to the Karakuri skill tree and you see all of the unlocks that you have available at your disposal, you may notice the icons of Kemono that you have already hunted, but you
Yep.
didn't really unlock the Fusion Karakuri from their hunts. Well, what happened is, you're probably just doing too well on the hunt and you're not giving enough time for the Kemono to activate the condition that is required to
Mm-hmm.
trigger the moments of
So
inspiration
stupid.
where time
This is
slows
so
down,
dumb.
and you get this quick time event where
You shouldn't have to wait for the kimono to do a specific fucking move so that you can use it. The only good thing about this is that that it does the freeze time thing even in multiplayer. So you can go into multiplayer with like a friend or even just randoms and hunt the creature, and then you have a chance of of it happening in multiplayer where the creature has more HP and is more likely to be living. But this is incredibly stupid and I hate it. But it's 100% true.
you are able to learn and activate at the same time a new fusion karakuri. I, for example, had already hunted the Fume Break Crow Kimono, which is the one you need to hunt to unlock the Repeater Crossbow, which I believe to be
Still don't
one
have
of
it.
the very best fusion karakuri in the entire game, as it not only very often staggers the kimono, but it also does consistent damage from a distance, so it is simply a very good tool to use at all times throughout the hunt.
I still
Another
haven't bothered
very
to get it though.
important fusion karakuri that I had to look up that I didn't have unlocked was the Chain Trap Fusion Karakuri, which again
I have
also
that one.
believe to be incredibly useful. Of course, the best one in the game probably is the Harpoon, which you do unlock by just progressing through the story normally. It is a very consistent fusion karakuri that will
The
always
harpoons
stagger
from
the kimono,
Amaterasu.
and it also prevents kimono from fleeing.
I should actually bring this up. You do not just unlock that to harpoon from doing the story. The creature that you have to hunt to unlock it is from the story. It's Amaterasu. But I can attest to this personally because it happened while I was live streaming. If you hunt that creature and are like me and are not able to kill it because you're just not functioning in the brain to be able to kill it on that specific day, being a little out of it from how long you were up, uh, you might not actually get the creature to do the move, and you might kill it with some random on the in multiplayer, and just never unlock the katakuri. I had to refight that thing like 4 or 5 times to unlock it. At least as far as I remember, because I did not get it from the fight.
The area, so you're able to keep on
I actually think I got it from
relentlessly
helping
attacking
somebody
them
else hunt it,
even
actually.
when they try to leave, so you are able to complete hunts much faster, and you can actually cheese a lot of encounters with this. But the point is, do yourself a favor and check on your karakuri skill tree, see if there is a fusion karakuri that has not been unlocked, and in its place is the icon of a kimono. If that's the case, then just go on that hunt, wait for the kimono to be enraged, and give it some time for it to trigger the condition to activate the moment of inspiration so that you unlock your fusion karakuri. Now, while we are on the topic of karakuri, I want to highlight some of the upgrades that you should try to prioritize as much as possible. In my
Okay.
opinion,
What's
the
his
one you
opinion?
want to get the earliest as possible is the Tsukumo or Shrine. You can place
Yes.
down as many of these
Yes.
facilities as you can depending on your dragon pit, and what these
Yep.
will do is they will passively collect resources for you that you are able to
It's
receive
so-
once they are filled up. So what this means is that
By the way, fun fact, you can actually place these in Minato. You can collect ore in or from Minato by placing them in there. So I have like 4 of them there, and they're just constantly collecting. Like I'll go AFK on the game when I'm doing like reaction videos or something just to generate ore. Ore is just so annoying because like unlike Monster Hunter, you don't have multiple shots at ore from one node. You just run up and grab one ore from a node. It's just like really dumb. So this is very, very, very useful. Especially when you don't want to go running around and collecting shit.
by having these placed on all of the different maps that you have available at your disposal, you simply interact with these at the start of the hunt, and you will no longer have to roam around the map aimlessly while looking for different upgrade materials that you didn't have before. And the ore shrines that you place at the start of the game are still going to be able to give you the materials that you need once you reach high rank in chapter 3 and 4, So again, it is a no-brainer that you prioritize this, as it is going to save you a lot of time when it comes to upgrading your armor sets and your
Yep.
weapons. And hey, even if you don't need those materials, at the very least you'll have some extra materials that you can sell for some extra gold. I would also say the same for the wildlife cage, which you can get a bit later on.
I haven't gotten that to work.
There are many upgrade progression paths that are locked behind materials that are somewhat hard to find and can actually be very easily farmed by using the wildlife cage. So again, place a couple of these on each of your maps and you're going to have a much better time. Of course, it's also important to upgrade your healing water, but at the same time it's not too essential if you're not having any difficulties with the game. Although I would say getting this spring extension can be extremely beneficial, as it is going to increase your invisibility frames whenever you use the spring, which already has plenty of them. So you'll be able to essentially dodge any incoming attacks by using this Karakuri. By the way, if these tips have been helpful and you didn't know about some of them, then please consider subscribing, as only 1% of the people that watch me are actually subscribed to the channel. Last time I did this, I saw a bunch of people mentioning that they weren't actually subscribed even though they thought they were. So do me a favor and check down below to see if you are actually subscribed.
I hate that freaking monkey.
If nothing else, because
God, I hate that monkey
that you didn't know about. Thank you, and let's continue.
The base one's so easy, but the fucking blue one.
Combine wild hearts. Of course, you have these special quests that you have to look out for, the small little coin icon, which means they're going to give you some special items whose only purpose is to be sold at the general store for some gold. That being said, once you get to the later stages of wild hearts, even though you refund the cost materials of the upgrades as much as you want,
for now at least,
some of these upgrades actually
I'll be
cost
rewatching
a lot
these
of
anyways.
gold. So having that surplus of materials to be able to sell can be quite a handy thing. Now, one thing I see especially very common at the start of the game, before people usually get to high rank, so around chapter 2 and 3, I see a lot of players not using their Dragon Karakuri effectively. At the start, you won't have your Dragon Pits evolved, so you don't have a lot of leeway in things to add to your maps. That being said, the Flying Vine Karakuri, which I'm sure is one that most people love, just like myself, can be dismantled on both ends, which means that you can place the Flying Vine on one end, use it to get to your destination, and once you reach it, you simply dismantle the Flying Vine, and you're able to use it once again to keep traversing through the map.
Yeah, you could. I don't really do that.
As you unlock the different maps in Wild Hearts, as that is going to make exploration a whole lot more enjoyable. Once you do have your Dragon Pits upgraded, you can of course forgo of this technique, or I guess a little bit of an exploit, but it is something that I recommend you guys to do. Now, earlier I mentioned
I've never needed to do
and
that.
low rank. The thing is, in Wild Hearts, once you reach chapter 3, you will gain access to hunting the Mighty Kemono, which are essentially the high rank versions of monsters you have already hunted. They are more powerful, deal more damage, have more HP,
they're fucking annoying.
New moves. What this also means is that they have their own different armor sets that are much stronger than the ones that are available at the start
and they don't look
game.
as good.
So I would recommend you guys to not focus too much on farming armor sets when you are in chapter 1 and 2. Wait until you get to chapter 3 and you unlock the Mighty Kemono, because those armor sets are going to outshadow the ones you've been using this whole time. That being said, don't feel bad about crafting weapons with these different materials and farming for them, because at the end of the day you can always refund the materials as I stated earlier, and moving along the different weapon trees to get the desired inherited skills is how you optimize your weapons in Wild Hearts, and having those materials is going to come in handy. Now,
this is so obnoxiously frustrating. That tree is so obnoxiously frustrating to understand when you're first playing the game, but once you understand it, it's such a nice thing. Holy shit, it's like playing Path of Exile. Well, a light version of Path of Exile.
One very important thing that I do need to mention that I think a lot of players are overlooking is that elemental damage is very important in Wild Hearts, both in terms of damage that you deal against the Kemono, but also damage that you take from the Kemono. So if you
Yes.
find yourself going up against a lava bag, for example, it is going to be a terrible idea to go in with, say, negative 12 fire resistance. That being said, not all hope is lost if that's the case, because there are some foods that you can cook and dry that are going to increase your elemental resistances to certain specific
Huh,
elements.
I didn't know about
But
that one.
more importantly, there is the fusion karakuri called Elemental Lantern, which is going to greatly
Yes.
boost your elemental resistance. Now keep in mind
I was so sick and tired of dealing with elemental based kimono until I found that thing. Because elemental based kimono were so annoying because it does not feel like you get the materials you want to get the armor, to get full sets of armor. So it's really hard to actually build to defend against specific elements unless you want to spend like days in my experience farming the same kimono until it finally drops its super rare material. The that lantern makes it a lot easier to just ignore that need.
that this Fusion Karakuri does take a little bit of time to activate, make sure that the lantern is actually placed down all the way, and that you actually get a elemental shield whenever you get hit. This thing is incredibly valuable and has saved me many times against not only Mighty Kemono, but against Volatile Kemono as well. There were some hunts
Not
where I went from
surprised.
getting 2-shot to actually being able to tank 4 hits. And I didn't change my armor set, it was all because of the Elemental Lantern. So do
That
not
thing's
sleep
nuts.
on this Fusion Karakuri, especially if you're playing in multiplayer, where you can save more than one person with this.
Uh-huh.
By now, most of you guys probably know that you get access to different moves whenever you perform a jumping attack from the boxes or
Well,
whenever you
yeah.
dash from a spring. That being said, it is often overlooked that you get different combo extensions by using the stake, and some of these are incredibly powerful, like for example with the bow, so make sure that you try that around with the different weapons. Not all weapons have access to
Mm-hmm.
stake combo extensions, but the ones that do seem to be very powerful. And while the stake may not be the most conventional or easy to use basic Karakuri in a hunt, I want to go on record and say that you should probably always have stake on your loadouts, simply because the fusion Karakuri that you gain access to by having
Yep.
the stake are extremely powerful.
That's what I was waiting for him to mention. Yeah. The fusion katakuri with the steak are disgustingly OP. I don't like the steak. I think it's really dumb. Like really, really stupid. But man, are the freaking things that it does just so good. The fusion katakuri are just so freaking good. The harpoon, the chain trap. I think the freaking crossbow uses it too. The actually, I think it's just a crossbow, repeater bow, whatever it's called. That thing, all of them are just so good, and they all use the stake. So there's really no reason to remove it. I really wish you could just have all of them, though. I really do.
Again, we're talking about the trap and the crossbow. Those two are incredibly powerful, and even though I may like other Karakuri individually more than the stake, I don't want to let go of these two fusion Karakuris because they are so good and fun to use. Also, one extra tip that may not be necessary to be mentioned for Monster Hunter players is that you don't need to be locked onto the monster at all times. In fact, depending on how fast or how big the monster is, I would argue that unlocking the camera is going to be much more beneficial to you. Personally, Kemono like the Lava Back or the final boss of the game became 10 times easier once I unlocked the camera. And these were some of the biggest tips that I wish I knew when I started playing Wild Hearts. I've made the mistake of not taking many of these things into account as I played through the game.
So I'm gonna add a tip here. If you want to change your character's looks, you just need to go into your katakuri tree and find the thing called the dragon mirror. There's a katakuri in there, a dragon katakuri that allows you to change your character's appearance, but you can only place it in Minato. So yeah, in case the game, never tells you that. Uh, a lot of these I already knew. I'll say there's some things that I didn't like. I didn't fully know, but to be fair, I don't know. It just I feel like some of these tips are a little on the nose, but some were very, very what's the word I'm looking for here? They were very pinpoint accurate, I guess you could say. Like he gets to the point about what they are very easily. So you know what? I'm gonna subscribe. Subscribe. I don't know what I just said there. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. This is Serpent Stinger signing out.